At OptionGenius, we believe that you deserve freedom, financial freedom, so that you have no more worries and more than enough money. Time freedom, so that you could do what you want, when you want to do it. And choice freedom, to live your life on your terms. But the system and Wall Street are rigged against us little guys. So how do we fight back? Well, my friend, that's what this podcast is all about. My name is Alan Sama, and this is the OptionGenius Podcast. Passive traders, welcome to a very special episode of the OptionGenius Podcast. This is episode number 100. No, it's not 100, it's just 100. But yeah, it's 100. We've made it to triple digits, which is a pretty good feat. They say most podcasts don't even make it for the first 15 episodes. So to get to 100 episodes, I think it's been like 2 years, and to have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of downloads and people listening to every episode, wow, I am so humbled. I continue to be so humbled. I've said it before, but it's like, I can't believe it, you know? I never thought that anybody would want to listen to me that much, much less several 100,000 people. It's insane. I did want to do something special for this episode. We did go ahead and, well, it's going to be kind of like the best of, you know? So I looked at all the different episodes, see which one got the most downloads, which ones are the ones that most people email us about and ask questions about. And I went through and I said, which ones do I want to highlight? Meaning that they're so good that I want to, make you listen to them again. Take the best things and be like, okay, we don't need the whole episode. We just need little snippets, right? Little pieces of it so that it reinforces something that maybe you've forgotten or maybe you didn't know or you missed it the first time. So things that I thought were really important to get through, things that will definitely help you. And so that's what we did in this episode. So I went through, identified 8 episodes that I thought were really, really good to go back and rehash and go back into them. And then we cut and pasted the most important parts. So each episode might have been like 28 minutes or 30 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever, but there was about 3 minutes worth or 4 minutes worth that really just summed it all up and, hit the spot kind of thing. No stories, because I know sometimes I can go on and on with the stories, but I think the stories are important and people say they enjoy them. So there you go. But I also want to take this time to appreciate everybody for sticking with me and for all the wonderful comments and for all the wonderful reviews that you guys have posted over the years, the last 2 years or however long we've been doing this. I read every single one. I really appreciate it. All those reviews, they do help other people find the podcast. They do help tell the different podcast services that, hey, look, people like this and it should be shown to more people. And if you have not left a review, please go do that right away. It really, really helps, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And it really helps other people because deep down, it's about helping to me. I could go out and trade for my own, and I don't need to do the podcast. We don't make money from the podcast. We don't have sponsors. It's just something that we do to spread the word, spread the message, and say, hey, if you're stuck in life, if you need to make more money, if you want to have more free time, if you want to have less stress, if you're looking for something and you know that you could do better, then this might be something that would work for you. So come, check it out. And if you like it, then we can tell you more. If you don't like it, that's fine too. But even if you just listen to the podcast, like many people have, they just listen to the podcast, it gives them a little boost, and then they go out and they keep doing it. So that's the whole point. It's motivational. And some people have complained, oh, why don't you tell us all the different strategies and how do you adjust a 45-day iron condor trade that's in the money and all this stuff. And it's like, that's really, really specific. And I think maybe in the future we'll get into those. But I think that information is already out there in many different sources. Right? Many different places. And if you want, you have to get visual and you have to do a video where you can actually see the trade and all the different details and whatnot. So I try not to get into the more complicated issues on the podcast. The podcast is really about mindset. It's really about getting you to see what's possible giving you that extra boost of momentum, letting you hear from other people who have doing it, who have done it, who are doing it, and me sharing the things that I wish people had shared with me when I got started. And that's the big thing about it. We were doing the high probability trading live event this weekend, and there was something that we went through. We went through all this different content. We went through 2 days of content. And when I was going through my slides and my notes beforehand, I realized that, my God, there is really, really good stuff in here, you know? But the person that is new or the person that is not ready to hear will not notice all the depth that is in the session. And we had several sessions. Some of them were pretty basic. Some of them had a lot of content in them. So it was me talking with slides, and I just kept going on and on. And on the surface of it, if you weren't really paying attention, if you're just like, oh, this is basic. But every single line in there was put there for a purpose. So if you were coming at it from somebody who's on the low end of the option continuum, where you're just brand new to options, I put it in a way where it wouldn't confuse you and you would understand what I'm talking about. If you were in the middle of the continuum, I put it in a way where it could tell you, okay, this is the next step that you need to take. You need to do this and you need to do this, and these are the things that you need to focus on. And then if you're on the upper end of the continuum, you could have really gone really, really deep, because I shared stuff in there that I've learned, and it took me 20 years to learn. And I've never seen it anywhere shared anywhere before. I've never seen videos on it. I've never seen any other gurus talk about this stuff, because most gurus don't last for 20 years, to be honest, unfortunately. They're good at marketers. They're not really good at trading. So most people don't last 20 years. I've been able to, luckily. And OptionGenius has been around for, I think, 11 years now. So we've been doing this a while, been doing the same thing over and over and over again, and it just works. And so I appreciate you guys. It's been a long journey, but we are making a difference. And I see it every day. I see it from the people that came to the live event. The comments that they made, the emails that we got afterwards, the way that they're excited about learning to trade options, and they're excited about what their lives can be like because they have hope. It really makes life worth living when you can go out and help other people. And I think that is the whole basic of it. So really, if you are listening to this podcast, I want you to understand, listen to it, learn, and go take action, and go do the things, and go do the trades, and go make the money, and then go help the other people. Because that's when you'll feel really, really good about yourself. You'll feel good when you eliminate the stress and the bills and all that, and you're doing well and you're feeling successful about that. But you take it to the next level when you're starting to help other people in different ways. So thank you for listening to my little lecture there. But now let's get into the episode. So for the very first episode, I have a clip from episode 74, which is the Passive Trading Manifesto. And I came up with this and said, what is a passive trader? Define passive trader. Describe what a passive trader is thinking, is doing, is feeling. And that is what I came up with for the manifesto. And it's very short, but it's something that I think you will see yourself in, at least part of it. And you'll be like, yeah, that's me. I fit here. This is the group that I belong to. This is what I want to be doing. That describes me, and I can't wait to get more. So let's listen.
A passive trader is a new breed of investor. Smarter, confident, relaxed, and free. Passive traders are winners. They keep the odds on their side, take calculated risks, and make consistent profits over and over. Passive traders are flexible. They know how to adjust when the market does and still be profitable. They play their own game and use Wall Street secrets to their own benefit. Passive traders are independent and can think for themselves. They know that no one cares about their money more than they do, so they manage it themselves, and better than the experts can. They do not rely on financial planners or mutual funds or robots to charge insane amounts of fees while providing below average returns. Passive traders are patient. They sit back and let the games come to them by keeping things simple. Passive traders are determined. They know their why, and it pushes them to stay focused and never give up. If you asked a money manager, they tell you that passive trading is impossible. The little guy is not supposed to beat Wall Street. Yet it is happening every single day. Passive traders know that life is a gift and should be lived to the fullest. Money is not the end goal. So passive traders make their money work for them, generating an income 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, so that they can spend their time doing whatever makes them happy. Passive traders are in control of their destiny, their finances, their emotions, and in turn, their lives. Passive traders define their own destiny, march to their own beat, make the world better, live their ideal life. And passive traders are motivated knowing that the odds are in their favor. I am a passive trader.
Okay, so for our second clip, we have one of the most popular episodes that I've ever done. It is episode number 26, which is called The Ultimate Options Trading Strategy. Now, there are lots and lots of strategies to trade options. Many of them work. I can't say all of them because I haven't tried all of them, but I know the ones that we teach, they do work. And if you only do each one individually, if you only do covered calls, or naked puts, or credit spreads, or condors, or butterflies, or calendars, or diagonals, if you're going to do any of those, or any of variations, you can do very well if you're good at it and you practice. You only need to do one, but if you do more than one, that's fine too, depending on what you need. So in this episode, I break down what is the ultimate options trading strategy.
With our account balance, what do we want? Do we want up and down roller coasters? No. We want slow and steady increase. In order to have that, you have to be trading in a way that is actually boring because you know what you're doing. That's why it's boring, because you've mastered it, because you've excelled at it. The alternative is to do what you're doing right now, jumping around from strategy to strategy. And I know what you're thinking. Say, hey, Alan, what about diversification? Don't I need to diversify? If I have maybe some earnings trades over here, or maybe I have some naked calls over here, or maybe I have some, some buck spreads over here. Yeah, you should diversify if you have an account that is well over 6 figures and you are already consistent and profitable. That's it. Right there. If you are over 6 figures, and I'm talking about like mid 6 figures, 400,000, 500,000, more than that, and you are already consistent and profitable, then you can diversify as much as you want. If you're on the top end of the continuum, levels 9, level 10, then you are making money. So you are going to stick with what you know automatically. You're going to go to the bread and butter, and you're going to do those every month or every week or whenever your time frame is. And then with a little bit of extra cash, you're going to try other stuff. That's a smart way to do it. Okay? If you don't have over 6 figures, if you're not consistent, if you're not profitable already, then forget about diversification until you can make money with one strategy. Month after month, trade after trade. You have to be consistently profitable before you add another strategy to your arsenal. Are you getting this? Is it sinking in? Yes? I hope so. And anybody that tells you otherwise is full of it and probably just wants to sell you something. That's the truth. Okay? So stop all the noise. Stop listening. Stop jumping around. Okay? Because the noise is there. The offers will always be there. If it's not options, it'll be Bitcoin. If it's not Bitcoin, it's going to be marijuana stocks. If it's not marijuana stocks, it's going to be sports betting. That's the newest thing that's going to come on, right? The Supreme Court just announced on Monday that states can now make it legal to bet on sports. Well, guess what? There's going to be stocks on sports betting, and they might even have options on stocks betting, on sports and betting and all this stuff. Who knows what they're going to come out with in the future? That's going to be the new hottest thing. But if you keep jumping from one to another, to another, to another, you're never going to get good at anything. You're never going to be profitable. You're never going to be consistent. So go back to the basics. Back to the fundamentals. Choose one strategy and work on it until you know it inside out and you are profitable, because that is the name of the game. That is the goal. That is the only thing that matters. I don't care what strategy you use. I don't care how you do it. I don't care when you do it. If you are profitable, you are winning. That's the only way to know if you're winning. I don't care how much you know. I don't care if you know more than me. I don't know if you know more history than me. I don't care if you know better, more math than me, more about statistics, more about options, more about everything. If you are not profitable, it doesn't matter. So go back to the fundamentals. Go back to the basics. One strategy. And you focus on it, you work on it, you back test it, you paper trade it, you real money trade it until you are profitable. That's it. That's the answer. Okay. Now, if you can't figure it out, if you've already tried, you tried your best, and you can't do it, then reach out to me. Maybe I can point you in the right direction. Maybe I can work with you like I did with Simon. And we can identify what it was that works best for you, or that makes the most sense for you, and then how to actually implement it. Because in the beginning, you don't need complicated stuff. You don't need complicated indicators. You don't need complicated chart patterns. You need a strategy that you understand, that makes sense to you, and you need to do it in a way where you can explain it to a third grader. And then if you can do that, then you tweak it. Then you work on it. Then you look at, like Simon did, you look at the entrance of the trade. You look at the management of the trade. You look at the exit of the trade. And then you improve your percentages. Okay, that's how it works. And right now, Simon, like I said, he's only doing one strategy. And yes, he is well over 6 figures in his trading account. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need to be doing anything else. I know people who only do one iron condor every single month. They do it on the same underlying. They do it on an index. And they trade literally over $100,000 worth of one iron condor every month. That's the entire trade. That's the whole strategy. One iron condor, 6 figures in that condor every month. Right? I hope this makes sense. I hope this is sinking in. I hope you got to this. And then finally, no matter which strategy you choose, whether it's the condor, the credit spread, the ratio, the butterfly, I don't care what it is, whatever it is, no matter which one you choose, make sure that the odds are in your favor. Peace.
Okay. Now, let's get into some serious topics, okay? This is episode number 96. It's called How Fast Can You Start Trading for a Living? And really the basic here is that I got an email from one of our students. He got laid off, and he needed to know what to do to get up to speed as fast as possible. And this was the advice that I gave him. Just an update for him. He did take the advice. He is doing it. He did happen to go back and get a job, but his trading is on par to be doing very, very well. So there's always hope, right? Like it says, this too shall pass. So whenever you're in a bad situation, whenever you think everything is falling apart, just remember that everything works in seasons. Winter comes and it's hard and it's tough, but then there eventually is a spring, there is a summer, and things get great again. So just all you gotta do is get to it, get through it, use the people that want to help you, take advantage of their help, and do the best you can to get through it. I got an email from one of our members, and I wanted to read it to you because He just got laid off and he wants to know how he can replace his income with trading. It's crazy that we get so many people in the same situation. It's great that when you have a job, right, you have an income source, you want to get into trading, you don't really like the job or you don't really like your business or whatever. You're like, oh man, I wish this trading thing could work out. I could get it. And you invest in one of our programs and then you don't really follow through because life gets in the way. And I know how that goes. It's really the why, right? Your why about trading wasn't strong enough until something happens and it jars you awake. And it's like, it's like you might be driving along the street and you're not really paying attention to the road, and then all of a sudden the car comes out of nowhere and almost hits you. So here's Todd's email. It says, hello, Alan. I'm going through a life change. I want to get your opinion. I'm currently a member of your programs. I joined almost a year ago, have not been able to devote enough time due to work and family obligations. Totally understandable. I'm an engineer and work in the construction industry for a healthcare organization. I read your book, listen to all your podcast sessions at least once while going to work. Oh, thank you for that. Last week, I was laid off from my job, and now I'm trying to decide my next moves. My wife works full time, and we have funds to carry us along for a couple months, but I will need to replace my income fairly soon and relieve the stress on my wife. And as an aside, yes, that's very, very, very important because you're not, when you get laid off, you're not the only one that's suffering. The whole family suffers, especially the other spouse, because that person has to carry the load, right? They're not used to carrying the full load. Now they have to carry the full load. And then they also have to worry about you and your mental status and the pressure on them you also have to worry about. So you don't want to add divorce to your problems. So be very, very careful about how your spouse is handling the situation. Make sure you give them enough time and enough attention to relieve their pressure, take some of their work, their homework or whatever their work is off their plate while you can. And if you're looking to go into trading, discuss it with your spouse. Explain what you're doing with them so they don't think that you're just sitting at home doing nothing all day, playing with computers, watching TV. Okay, so that's a really important point. So let me continue. He says, I'm trying to decide if I should jump back into the construction rat race again so I can draw salary and benefits, assuming I can find another job fairly quickly. Otherwise, I would really like to immerse my time into your programs and start trading. I realize I have to get up to speed and take some time to learn your methods and develop my own trading plan. My main concerns are being able to learn your program soon enough and being able to replace my income. I was making $120,000 a year, but need to replace approximately $5,000 a month take home pay. I plan to start paper trading this week and scale up as I learn more. Eventually, I will have $250,000 in capital that I could scale up in an account. How realistic is it for me to replace my income with this size of an account? I would appreciate your opinion in the comments. Thank you. So that's the email. I want to read to you what I wrote to him, and then I want to give you my thoughts on this and go in a little bit more detail. So I told him, hey, I'm sorry that this happened to you. Very, very sorry. My first thought was, hey, you need to get out of where you are. I know where he is. He's in a different state where things might be slowing down. So I'm like, hey, get out of there, get your butt here to Texas because we can't find enough people to do construction. But that might not be possible. So I don't think the issue here is if you can generate 5,000 from 250,000. The issue is how long it will take you to get there. And from what you wrote, this is me talking to him. From what you wrote, it would be in your best interest, I believe, for you to get another job for now as a fail safe. Okay, maybe not a full-time thing, just something to bring in some guaranteed capital and keep the health insurance if possible, because that's a big concern for a lot of people. Trading when you are super stressed out and you have to win is super hard. Trading already is very hard, but doing it with one hand tied behind your back is much harder. While you are looking for the second job, or even after you get the part-time job, spend 3 to 5 hours a day on your trading. Do that with the courses and programs you already have. You should be able to have the skills to do it full time in a few months. But having the skills is different from being emotionally ready. So you're going to have to overcome that aspect as well. So if you can start with a smaller goal, say $1,000 a month on a $100,000 account, that would be a great place to start. And then you can scale it up from there. And then I told him, because he's in the programs, I want to see you on the coaching call on Thursday. I want to see you and your paper trades in our groups. I want you posting there. I want you to get critiques. I want you to get my opinion, my advice. And I want you to send me, I told him, hey, I want you to send me your trading plan and a concrete plan of how you expect to get to 5,000 a month, including your asset allocation. And this is covered in one of our programs that he's already part of. You can do it, but having a job would relieve a lot of the pressure. But even with a job, 3 to 5 hours a day learning and trading, because enough is enough. Screw these jobs. It's time to learn how to make it from trading. Okay, here's clip number 4. This one comes from episode 87, How to Scale Up Your Trading. So now let's say you've already been doing trading for a little bit, you've been pretty safe, you've been conservative, but now it's time to get big, right? You're feeling good, you're feeling confident. How do you go from where you are now to the next level? And it's not what you think. It's not about more strategy. It's not about more complicated stuff, more trading or more analysis or more software. It's all mental. It's all mental. Scaling, all mental. 90%. There might be some things you need to do a little bit different because you're playing with bigger numbers, and then there's limitations to what you can do at bigger numbers. We're talking about in the millions. But when you're individual and you're scaling up, 99%, I would say, is mental. So take a listen.
This is a question I get often, and got this question recently from a listener, and the question says, the one thing I struggle with is constantly being scared out of the market. I have a trading plan with iron condors and credit spreads and fail to follow it by not trading frequently enough or with enough size. How is the best way to scale up your trading to make a bigger income out of it? So basically, the fellow is saying that he does, trades, mostly spreads, but he's hesitant and scared to not do it enough and not do it with enough money when he does do it. So he's thinking about how can he scale up his trading to be better at it or make more money from it. So the first thing you need to realize is that fear is not always a bad thing. I mean, it's there to alert you to danger, right? That's why we get scared. Something dangerous happening. But it's also there to alert you to opportunity as well. So we look at fear as a negative thing, but fear is just a common response, right? It doesn't have to be something that is bad for us that we are afraid of. So anything outside of our comfort zone can be scary, but that doesn't mean that it's bad for us. And so a lot of people are scared of placing their first trade. They're scared of investing money in the stock market because they're afraid to lose it, which is one possible outcome, yes, but you can mitigate that and you can protect against that. And so when you look at it and you say, look, there are trillions or gazillions of dollars, whatever, invested in stocks around the world, what do those people know that I don't, that I'm afraid to put my money in the stock market? What are the people that are trading profitably and consistently? And what do they know that I don't know, that I'm not consistent? And that's why I'm afraid of making trades or making bigger trades. How much do you actually want to make? So if you're trading too small to hit your goal, right? If your goal is $1,000 a month, but you're only doing one trade that can only make $100 a month, you're never going to hit your goal. So then the goal will help you scale, because that's just math. You're like, oh man, I can't get to my goal. Okay, I need to do more because I need to get to my goal. The other side is to have confidence. And that comes with doing the trades over and over and over and over. And if you use real money, it can take years as you go through the different markets, right? You go through a bear market, you go through a bull market, you go through a sideways market, you go through a correction, you go through a dip, you go through all these different things. It takes years to understand how to trade through all those different environments. Now, as passive traders, we have the odds on our side, and the trades are built in to withstand these shocks, but it can still impact us, and the biggest impact is on us mentally. Number one, like I said, is you have confidence in your trading plan. So if you've put on a whole bunch of trades and you've seen them work, you're going to have more confidence. If you are trading with a group or other people are doing it, or if you have a mentor that's been doing it and he's telling you, hey, look, this is the way we trade. This is how it's going to work. And if you've seen it work, then you have confidence. Number two, if you have experience doing the same strategy hundreds or thousands of times, that's basically how you get the confidence in the trading plan. Then step two of scaling is to increase your position sizing. Obviously, right? Yeah, I want to scale. Okay, step two. Step one that we talked about was being able to control yourself. Step one to scaling is being able to control yourself. Step two is to go ahead and then do it, to increase your position sizing. Now remember how you thought about going to school or training for whatever you do now for a living, for your job, right? Do you remember getting trained for that? If you had to go to college or get a certificate or go to a seminar or whatever, you did all that. You put up with all that because you were training, you were learning, and it took time. It's the same thing here. Trading takes time to learn, but this puts you in a real life seminar and you are paying your dues every day. The time that you put in, you're paying your dues. You put your trades on, you monitor them, you debrief them at the end, right? What happened? What went wrong? What went right? What did I do right? How can I change it? How can I make my results better? You rinse and you repeat. You got a good plan? Keep doing it over and over and over again. As your account size gets larger, you can go from one contract to maybe two, then maybe to three, then to five, then to seven. You go at your own pace. There is no race. There is no time limit. As long as you're doing constantly better, you're being consistent, like I said earlier, the account will grow in size and you'll get more confident and you can trade more. And it's up to you. You want to go from 1 to 5? If you got the money and if you had the experience, okay, fine. I wouldn't advise it. I'd go from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 10. Take it small jumps. It doesn't need to be overnight because there's no rush. It's not like, my next door neighbor just bought a Mercedes. I got to buy one too, so I need to do 100 trades this month. No. Forget him and his Mercedes. Who cares? Right? Be confident with who you are and what you have. And don't rock the boat. We don't want to take unnecessary risk when you don't have to. For most people, it's better to move from, say, 3 contracts to 4 contracts to 6 to 10 in small increments. Because there's no such thing as missing out on the trade of the century. There is no trade of the century. It's like, oh my God, if I don't invest now, I'm going to lose. I'm never going to get this opportunity again. No, it doesn't happen. There's no such thing. They said that, before, years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 6 months ago. They've been saying that forever. As long as you get in and you can consistently make money, you're fine. It's just going to grow. Everything is the same. So you don't need to put all your money in one trade when you're not ready to do so. Okay? Now, step 3 to scaling. Once you have increased contract size, you need to increase the account size. Or maybe you need to do the account size before you do the contract size. Either way, but one usually comes after the other. You do this obviously by adding more money to the pot. Put more money in your account, right? Now, you can do it the other way and you'll be like, you know what, I'm just going to grow the account and whatever I make, I'm going to keep it and just scale that way. Or you can say, hey, look, I've got the confidence. I've got my emotions under control. I got a good strategy. I got a good mentor. I feel confident to be able to go to the next level. So I need to add a few $1,000s more into my account so I can go from, say, 2 contracts to 4 or 4 to 8, right? I'm going to go incrementally higher. I'm not going to go from 2 to 10. Don't do that. 2 to 4, 2 to 5. Slowly build it up. Go to the next level. Trade there for a little while. Get comfortable. Then you can go again to the next level. It's like going up steps, right? So once you're adding more money to the pot, you can do something or you can add something to your account that's called portfolio margin. What portfolio margin means is that you get additional leverage and you get the ability to make money quicker with less money tied up, actually. So for most brokers that I've seen, portfolio margin starts at $125,000. So if you have that in your account, you get portfolio margin. Now, normally when you open an account and you apply for margin, they give you 2-to-1 margin. So if you put in $10,000, they'll let you buy $20,000 worth of stock. Okay? But they charge you interest on the money that they lent you. We don't really advise that, right? Now, when you're passive trading, You need to have a margin account. If it's a non-retirement account, if it's not an IRA, then you got to have margin enabled so that you can do spreads, you can do naked puts, but we don't borrow the money. Portfolio margin is a little bit of both. So portfolio margin, I believe it's like 4-to-1 or 5-to-1 in terms of margin. So if you have $100,000, you can actually trade with $400,000. Okay. So yeah, big difference. You can borrow a lot more. But I'm not telling you to borrow a lot more. I'm telling you to do it because on your trades, they can charge you less in margin. So what I mean by that is if you do a naked put that is very, 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 very far away from the money, if you have a regular margin account, they might charge you, I don't know, let's say $3,000 in margin to do that trade. For example, I'm just making it up. Okay. But if you have a portfolio margin account, they look at it, they calculate that margin differently. They look at the actual risk of the trade. So because they can tell that you're so far away from the money and that the odds are so far in your favor, there's not a big risk of you losing money. And so the amount of margin that they're going to charge you or hold for doing that trade is going to be a lot less. So it might be like, say, $500 compared to $2,000 or $3,000 with a regular account. They'll charge you $500 a margin for a portfolio margin account. So what happens there? Well, I can make a much greater return or percentage-wise on my money, right? Dollar-wise, it'll be the same thing, but then I can decide, hey, what, do I want to do 2 of these or 3 of these instead of 1? Because I can, right? Because I have more leverage. I can do that. If the trade goes against me, of course, I'm still going to end up losing money, and I'll lose more because now I have 3 contracts versus 1. So I need to be able to know and be good with that. That's why they only give it to you if you have over $100 or $125,000. But that's what I did, right? So for myself, when I started scaling, I went horizontally. So I'm going to lay out 2 different types of scaling. What I did, I went horizontally, meaning I put small amounts into many different accounts. So, I had a Roth account. I had a regular IRA account. I had 1 each for my wife. I had a SEP account. I had a corporate account for the company. I had a couple personal accounts. And then I would do different trades in all the different accounts. So I got a little bit in all of them, right? So yes, I have a lot of money in the market, but they're spread out in all of these little accounts. So that's what I call horizontally, okay? In hindsight, the process worked, and now all of the accounts are fairly large, but it took a lot longer than necessary because each account did not have enough money in the beginning to do everything I wanted. So I was limited in the trades I could do. I was limited in the strategies I could do in the beginning because each account did not have that much money. So if you have, let's say, $100,000, right? You put it in one account, you can do certain things with it that you can't do if you open 10 different accounts with $10,000 each. Does that make sense? So what I've done now, right, is I still have those accounts, but I went vertically right now. That's how I'm scaling right now. I'm going vertically. And so I'm working on growing just one account to a certain level.
Okay, episode number 64 is next. This is our 5th episode. Title is called Selling Puts versus Owning Stock. Now, I brought this one up because when I first started in options, selling puts wasn't very enticing to me. I really didn't understand it. It wasn't something that I practiced. It wasn't something that I did. It wasn't only until years later when I actually understood the power and the reasoning behind it. I mean, I always understood the theory behind it and why you should do it and why people do it. But it wasn't until I actually started doing it where it came and fell in place. When I came up with the whole passive trading situation and the whole brand and the whole formula and the fact that, I don't want to be trading all the time. I want to be just relaxed, stressful, or less stress-free, and not having to be stuck in front of the screen all day. And for that, the naked put works really good. So in this episode, I compared selling naked puts to versus owning stock and see how we did.
So I am finishing up the book called Passive Trading. It's been taking me, I think, over 2 years, but I'm finally getting close to completion. And so my editor told me that it's probably better to add a few examples of trades that I've done in the past and some examples of the different strategies that we're talking about. So I think, yeah, that makes sense. So what I did was I decided to go into the past and pick a stock and say, okay, this is a stock. What if I did what I'm telling everybody to do? How would it work out? Without knowing anything about the future or anything like that. So the example was for naked puts, selling naked puts. That's one of the strategies I cover in the book. I talk about it, say how to do it, this and that. And I said, well, what would happen if I take my strategy, how to do it, and go and apply it in real life? So I picked Walmart because Walmart is not a stock that I own. I don't follow it on a regular basis. It is on my watch list because it's a good company and it pays a dividend. It might be one that I want to get into, but up till now, I don't own it, haven't traded it very much. And so I said, you know what? Let me go into Walmart. Let me try it and see. So 2018, January 2018, Walmart was trading at $98.59. Okay. That was really good because in 2017, the stock was up 42%. So had a great year in 2017. What's it going to do in 2018? I don't know. I don't remember. And I haven't traded it, so I don't know. So what I decided was I am not going to own the stock. I am only going to sell naked puts on it. If I get assigned on those puts, then I will see what I have to do there. Maybe I will sell the stock and keep selling more puts, or maybe I will keep the stock and start selling covered calls. Either way, I'm going to have to do something, but I'm not going to roll. That was the decision. I wasn't going to roll my puts. I was just going to take the stock. So I started on the 2nd of January. Okay. First trade I did, sold some puts, made 3.6% because the puts expired. Nice. Did another trade in February after that one expired. After the first expired, I did it in February. That one also expired. 3.2% gain. Then I did one in March. 3.54% gain. Did one in April. 5.54% gain. Jeez, this is easy, right? All I'm doing is selling naked puts on Walmart away from the money, and I'm getting really nice monthly gains. And I'm not having to watch it. I'm not following. I'm not adjusting. I'm not doing anything. I'm selling the put, waiting till it expires, and then selling another one. That's all I'm doing. Then May came. Those puts expired. 2.83% gain. June, 1.85% gain. July, 3.9% gain. August, 2.53% gain. September, 2.75% gain. October, 4.89% gain. And November, I finally get assigned. So on December 21st, Walmart closed at $87.13, which was 37 cents lower than my sold strike. So I had to buy the stock at $87.50. Now, you might be thinking, oh, wow, Alan. Yeah, anybody can make money selling naked puts in a bear market. Walmart went up 42% the year before. It probably went up close to that in 2018 when you were doing it, right? Well, yes and no. 2018 was a year when Walmart traded from $98.59 at the beginning of the year. That's when I started trading. It went up to $109.55. So it did go up. But then once it got there, it turned around and went down all the way to $82.40. And then it ended the year at $93.15, which means that the stock was actually negative 5.6% for the year. So if you had owned this stock, if you had bought it on January 2nd, first day of trading in 2018, and you held it to the end of the year, you would have lost 5.6%. Now, you would have gotten a dividend, so maybe it's an even, but still, that's dead money. You're not making any money on this stock if you are only buying it and holding it for the whole year. But if you had done what I did and you had sold naked puts the whole way, you would have made 34.65%. Let that sink in here. I was selling naked puts on a stock that went up and down and up again and closed down. So this was not a stock that just went up in a straight line. This stock lost money on the year. But because of the naked put strategy, I made 34%. Okay. This is without owning any stock. I didn't own the stock until very end of the year, until December 21, when I actually had to buy the shares. Until then, I didn't own any stock. And I didn't really spend much time on it. Okay. I just put the trade on, let it expire, and then put on another one. Every month. Takes literally 5 minutes or less. Didn't watch the news on Walmart. Didn't care about earnings or announcements or what they were doing or how the stock was doing. Doesn't matter. Didn't care. All I did was sell a naked put every month. Let the one expire, sell more. Let it expire, sell more. Let it expire, sell more. Let it expire, sell more. On a stock that went up or down. Now, I understand. If this was a stock that had just gone straight up, then yeah, you could say, oh yeah, it just went straight up. Of course you made money. True. But this was not that. This was a stock that went up and down. Right?
All right. So the next one's going to be a little bit weird. This was episode number 54. Learning to trade is like learning how to snorkel. It's like, what? Snorkel? Did he say snorkel? Yeah, I said snorkel. Like snorkeling. You put the little tube in your mouth, you put the goggles on, and you go put your head in the water and you breathe through the tube and you look at all the grass or fish or whatever you could see down there, right? So this was a video actually that I shot in Cancun when I had gone with my family and my boys and I. It was an all-inclusive place, so they give you snorkeling equipment if you need it and whatnot. So we took it and we're snorkeling and really they were learning. I had done it once before, but I had forgotten about it. So I was trying to get used to it again, and then I was showing them how to do it. And they both loved it, and it was awesome. It was a great experience. But while I was watching them learn, I kept thinking to myself, oh my God, the stuff that they're saying, the stuff that they're behaving, new traders do the same things. And so I saw the parallels and I said, okay, how do I get them to snorkel and how do I get them to be successful at it? And the same steps that you need to take also work when you're learning how to trade. So take a listen and maybe you'll learn how to snorkel and trade at the same time. I just wanted to shoot this quick video podcast to let you know that I learned something yesterday that I wanted to share with you guys. And it's really right behind me in the water. We took our kids snorkeling for the first time, the 7-year-old and 8-year-old boys. And sorry about the squinting, it's really sunny today. But we took them snorkeling for the first time. And I don't know if you've ever been snorkeling, but you get a little mask you put on and you get a little snorkel. And you breathe through the snorkel and you look down in the water and you see whatever's in there. Now, there wasn't much to see out here. There was some fish. You go a little bit further over there, there's some seaweed and stuff, so there were some pretty cool fish, a couple of big fish actually. And so they were really excited about that. But when they first started, I had prepped them ahead of time before we came on the trip. I thought, hey, we're going to do snorkeling. It's really cool. You put this thing and you can see out of water and all this different world, all that stuff. And they were all excited. They wanted to go. And when we got here, it's kind of like trading, right? So you hear about it. You picture it in your mind. It's like, oh my God, this is so cool. I want to do this. Yeah, we'll be awesome at it. And then you get your equipment. You get your mask, your snorkel. You get some instruction. Oh yeah, this is what we do. And then you go do it for the first time, and you totally freak out because it's not easy and it's not normal. You're not used to it because you're not breathing with your mouth anymore. You're not breathing with your nose. You have to breathe with your mouth. And then if you get a little water in the top of your snorkel, then drinking water, and then the water's coming in your mask, and your eyes are burning from the salt water. And believe me, we had that same experience. So basically, we walk them through it. So it's the same thing with trading. So the first thing you have to do is you have to put your mask on, cover your nose, get used to breathing with your mouth. Open mouth breathing. Just breathe with your mouth. Once you got that done, you put the snorkel on. You got to make sure it's all tight and snug. And then you have to breathe with the snorkel. So you're just breathing with the snorkel. Once that's done, then you stand in the shallow water. You put your head down, and you just look around. Focus on your breathing. Don't even worry about what you're looking at. Just focus on your breathing. Making sure all your technical aspects are right. Making sure you're following all the rules. Making sure step by step you're not making any mistakes. Then once you have all that done, then that's when you get into the water and you go deep and you start floating, and then you can go a little bit further. First time, it's gonna freak out. It's gonna be like, oh, it's not happening. It's not happening the way exactly that I planned in my mind. There's a fish and you'll freak out, or there's a piece of thing. Oh, something touching my foot. Oh, all that stuff happens, especially in trading. It doesn't go exactly as you want, but if you go back and you stick to it, eventually you end up like my boys. I mean, they loved it. They loved it so much they want to go again today. And they want to go, there's some shipwreck off the coast of the island, they want to go over there. And like, it blew me away how I couldn't get them out of the water. I couldn't get the snorkel off their faces because they're like, no, more. And there's something to see here. But they were so excited. And that is how I want trading to be for you. So whatever your issues are right now, if it's not going well, if you don't know what steps to take, if you don't know exactly what instruction you need, it's there where it's available. You just got to take the simple, slow steps, right? Get your stuff, get all your equipment, practice the easy things. Practice putting on paper trades, getting on the trade, putting it on, getting it out, putting it on, getting out. Practice finding trades. How do I find a trade? What do I go through? How do I make it streamlined as possible, right? Because I don't want you to just put on your stuff and just jump in the deep water right away. That's what most people do. That's why they get burned. I have a lot of people, a lot of students that tell me, oh no, I don't want to do paper trading. I'm going to put, I got $20,000. I'm just going to let it ride on one trade. And you're freaking crazy because you're going to lose a lot of money that way. And they do. And then they come back and they're like, yeah, I should have listened to you. Well, it's too late now. you just learned a very, very expensive lesson. So let's not do that. Let's do it snorkel time, right? One at a time. Because in snorkeling, you mess it up, what happens? You just stand up. You drink some salt water, no big deal. But what could have happened, and what almost happened with my second son, is that he almost gave up. He tried it the first time. Oh man, Daddy, I don't like it. Oh, this is horrible. And I don't want to do this anymore. He threw the mask down, he threw the snorkel down, and he just stormed away. That's what we cannot have happen to you. Because if it does, then you lose out on a passive income stream that has the power to change your life. And I mean, take a look around. This is, I'm here on a weekday in Cancun, enjoying with my family, and my trades are still working, right? I mean, you can see, there are not that many people here, right? Because this is a private beach or a private resort. So there's not going to be a lot of people here. This is not like the cheapest resort on the place, as you can imagine. So that's what comes from trading properly and passive trading, and the ability for you to be able to take vacations, not have to worry about your trades as much. I mean, I checked out my trades this morning. It's actually the same time frame here in Mexico as it is back home for me. And so I checked out my trades this morning, and they're fine. They're doing great. I'm making money. My options are, they got theta decay going on every day, so I'm not worried. I checked it. It's all done, right? But I got to take the chance and the day, or at least a few hours, to teach my kids a skill or have an adventure with them that they are probably going to remember for the rest of their lives. Because I remember the first time I went snorkeling, and it was with a school trip. It wasn't with my parents. They were here with their parents, and I think they're going to remember that for the rest of their life, which is pretty cool.
All right, for our next clip, I'm going to say something maybe a little controversial. Maybe not. Depends on your perspective. Now, there's a lot of people out there talking about FIRE, which is financially independent and retiring early. This one is coming from episode 47, where I talk about the same thing, but I talk about it with options. And I talk about why the FIRE thing sucks the way normally it's taught to do, and why using options makes it so much better. You get the same result, but you have a lot more fun and you live a lot better until you get to the result. So if you're interested in retiring early, this one is a really good one for you to listen to. The title of this episode, right, is FIRE, which is Financially Independent, Retire Early. So that is it's a new movement. It's not really new, but it's a movement that has become popular lately, and you can read articles about it, and people are writing books about it and blogs, and they're in podcasts about it and everything. And it's basically retire early, become financially independent. So they call it FIRE. Cool. Okay. Now, this is especially big amongst millennials because I guess, they don't want to work for the man, and they don't want to work for their 65 years old and all that stuff. But it's really cute, though, how millennials think that they create things that have been around for generations, like the desire to retire early. It's like, yeah, this FIRE thing, it's cute that you gave a name to it, but you guys didn't create this. People have been wanting to do this since the start of time, really. Anyway, according to the tenets of FIRE, you have to do three things, right? You have to earn as much money as you can at work. You do have to work. You have to earn as much money as you can. And you have to get a side hustle. A side hustle, just another name that they gave to a second job. So whether you're working online for yourself as a freelancer, or you actually have a second job, or you do something else like trading options, you have to have a side hustle to make as much money as you can. The second thing you have to do is you have to save as much money as you can, right? And they do this by basically living as paupers. That's what they tell you to do. Live like a poor person, like a homeless person. You don't need a car. You can, ride the bus to work and take a bike because that's healthy for you. Eat less food. Don't eat so much. Don't go out to the movies. Watch Netflix at home. All these kinds of things where you're trying to save as much money as you can. And then with that money that you save, you invest it in something like index funds, so you put it away, let other people manage it. And that's the cycle. Earn as much as you can, save as much as you can, invest it. Now, if you follow that formula, it works. I mean, there are people in their 30s that have enough money saved that they can live off the interest off of their investments. Their investments or whatever they've invested in is making money, and they can live off of that interest, which is awesome. They don't have to work. Most of them don't have kids. And even if they do, I mean, they still have to live frugally, of course, right? Because, when you're 30s, even if you're making $100,000 a year as a job, you're still not going to be able to save that much that you're going to be earning a lot of interest from your savings and your investments to live middle to upper class, right? So these folks, they have retired, they're not working, but they are living low to middle class, somewhere around there. That's cool if you like that sort of thing. I don't. I think you can have your cake and eat it too. I want you to retire early and still be rich. And that is doable if you take control of your money. Now, I agree with the make as much money as you can part. I agree with that part. I agree with the save as much as you can part. Now, I don't think you should live like a pauper. I think you should enjoy your life even now while you're working and you're saving. I think I love driving. I love my car. I'm never going to give that up to save, a couple $100 in gas and insurance a month. But, if that's something you want to do and you want to get that'll get you your goal faster, then do it. But your side hustle should be to learn to grow the savings you have as much as possible, instead of losing control of your money inside of a mutual fund. Does that make sense? Your side hustle, I mean, you have to make as much money as you can. So you go to your job, you get your income, you save your money. What do you do with that money? Well, you can give it to somebody, index fund, mutual fund, and let them do it for you. And hopefully the market goes up, or maybe it'll go down, and then pay fees for all that information and whatever. Or you spend your time and you learn how to do it for yourself, because there are people out there that will charge you to manage your money that are not going to do anything that you cannot do for yourself. And you can actually do it much, much better. Okay? That's what we're all about. That's what we're trying to teach you. That's the whole point of this podcast, to help you to learn how to do that. Okay? Take advantage of your own future instead of giving it to somebody else. And then you can fire yourself much faster, years and years sooner. So I did some calculations to prove my point here. Now, over time, the stock market has averaged about 8% a year, right? 8% yearly return. That's pretty good. But when you sell options like we do, we have the ability to make 10% a month. A month, not a year. Stock market, 8% a year. Options, 10% a month. Which one is bigger? I don't know, right? I mean, you could sell options 1 month out of the year, make 10%, and then take the rest of the year off if you wanted to. But these are, these trades and this option selling I'm talking about is very high probability trades that can make you at least 10% a month. 10%, that's my goal. That's what I try to make every month. But I know traders who do a lot better than that every month. So it's definitely possible. Now, look, I know right now that might seem like a bit of a stretch to you. Maybe if you're not making 10% or you don't understand the strategies, 10% is a lot, right? That's 120% a year. That is fabulous. And if you ask me, oh, nobody ever does that, Alan. Yeah, I do. I've done it before, right? It's not impossible. But let's be a lot more conservative, okay? So even though 10% is possible, let's instead aim for 5% a month. That's 60% a year. Still very, very impressive. I mean, there are guys on Wall Street that'll chop off their right arm if they could make 60% in a year. Okay, so that's really good. If you start with a $10,000 account, let's say you have $10,000 in your trading account and you're making 5% a month, in 5 years, you would have over $186,000. 5 years from now, 10,000 to 186. That's really, really good. What kind of, what could that kind of money do for you? What would your life look like? Would you have a new car or maybe a new bike for you fire people? A new house, a new plane, right? And I know, okay, maybe 5% seems a little high right now for you. All right. Maybe, because you're new to options or maybe you've tried to make it work before and it didn't work for some reason. All right. So let's say that you screw it up and you don't make 5%. You only make 3% a month. Okay. Let's cut down our expectation. Do you think you could do that? If 5% is possible and the odds are in your favor, do you think you can make 36% a year? That's in addition to whatever you're making on your stocks right now. So you take that and you add it to the 36%. That'd be really good, right? I mean, would you be happy with just 36% a year? That's really good. I'd be happy with that because in 5 years, if you have a $10,000 account, your account goes from $10,000 to $59,000 in 5 years. That's almost 6 times what you started with. We're still talking about life-changing money. It'd be awesome, right? But okay, I get it. Okay, maybe 3%, maybe it's a little out. That's a little high. How about if you totally screw it up and you don't even get 3% a month? What if you only get 2% a month? That is 60% less than our goal amount, okay? But that's still 24% a year. How would your account do then? Making 2% a month. That would triple your account in 5 years. So your $10,000 account in 5 years goes to $30,000. Okay. And then in another 5 years, from 30,000, it goes to 98,000 because it compounds every year. It's just going to compound and compound and compound. Remember, we're only starting with $10,000 account here. $98,000 in 10 years. Well, that's like fire your boss money right there. That is actually 2% a month is actually more than what Warren Buffett has made. He's averaged 22% over his life. So if you can do 24%, it's possible you could do better than Warren Buffett. Now, he started with millions of dollars that other people gave him. And so, I'm not going to compare that and say you can be he's the second richest man in the world or whatever. I'm not going to say that, but you can do better, have better returns than he does. Okay. So these are all hypotheticals. Now let's look at a real example. Okay. So let's figure this out. For most people, a really good average income would be about $100,000 a year. Is that fair to say, you think? Would you be okay with that if we used $100,000 as an example? So let's say we want to make that, right? We want to make $100,000 a year income. That is $8,334 a month, right? 100,000 divided by 12 months. Now I'm going to leave out taxes out of this. Otherwise, it's just going to get too complicated. But first, what we need to do is we need to figure out how much money our account would have to be worth, because we are trying to make $8,334 a month. Okay. How much money would we need if we were making 2% a month to able to make that? And that number is $416,700. Okay. So if you have an account that size, $416,700, and you make 2% a month, you would be making $8,334 a month. You would maybe be making $100,000 a year. Okay. So we need an account of that size, $416,000. But we don't have that right now. Okay. Most of us don't. You don't have it. Okay. I get it. No problem. So right now, let's say we only have $50,000 in our account. I think that's more normal. I think most of us have at least that, or maybe more, maybe a little bit less. It's okay. But, let's say we just have 50 and you can make 2% a month. Okay. So if you have 50,000 and you make 2% a month, question, how long do you think it will take you to get your account to be able to give us an income of $100,000 a year? You start with 50, you make 2% a month. How long will it take to get to $416,000? You think it'll take 20 years? You think it'll take 30 years? 40 years maybe. Well, I did the math on investor.gov. It's a website. They got all of these nice financial calculators that you could play with. It would take just 9 years. Imagine that. If you're 50 years old right now, you could be making $100,000 a year in income before you hit 60. And when you actually do retire, you'll still be getting your Social Security, your pension, and whatever else that you have in your investments. Sounds like a really sweet retirement to me. Am I right? So if you have $50,000 right now and you only make 2% a month without any stock appreciation, in 9 years, you would have a 6-figure income from just the income from your option trades. Oh, and on top of that, you'd be working about a couple hours a week. Okay, I think that's like the kicker, right? Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. We're going to be working hard? No. Now, for some of you, you might not have the $50,000 right now, and that's okay. And this is an example. You can start with a lot less. I mean, we have traders in our community who are starting with less than $5,000. So when you have a smaller account, it just takes longer, but you can still do it, right? Trades are the same. Strategies are the same. Everything is the same. But the important thing is that you need to start now. I mean, can you imagine it? No more credit card debt. No more worries about college costs. No more worries about not having enough money for emergencies. That's pretty cool, right? I think so. It is. It's an amazing way to live. I mean, you can lose $80,000 a year and not even be mad about it. My wife got mad, to be honest. She did. Because like I told her it was going to be like a slam dunk. I was like, yeah, it's going to work. It's going to work. And then we lost the money and she got mad. I didn't get mad, but she did. All right. But what if that you are super, super, super new to investing, okay? And you're just awful at trading. I mean, you're the worst. And you don't even get 2% a month. What if you only get 1% a month? That's 12% a year. How many of you happy? How many of you guys would be happy with 12% a year? I would. I think so. That would mean that your $10,000 account in 5 years increases to $18,000. Okay? And that's without any stock appreciation. That's just the income from your option trades. So even if you're only making 12% a year, 1% a month, it's still significant money. It's still better than what you can do in the stock market, because you put your money in the stock market, stock market is getting 8% average, sometimes 7. Some people say 7, some people say 8. I just went 8. But if you calculate all the fees, all the commissions you pay, you're going to be looking at somewhere around 4%, 4.5% is what most people get out of the stock market. So, I mean, if you can make 12% on your own and you compound that money month after month after month after month after month, because when you look at the stock market and when you put your money in an index fund or a mutual fund or whatever, that money doesn't compound every month. It compounds every year. When we're doing our option trades, these are monthly trades, sometimes less than a month. So if you get $1,000, if you have $1,000 in your account, or let's say 10,000 to keep it simple, let's say $10,000, and you make 10% in a month, well, now you have $11,000. So the next month, you're not playing with 10,000 anymore. You're not playing with 11,000. So it compounds every single month. And that's why it can grow so fast, much faster than in the stock market if you put it in an index fund. Does that make sense? Good. Because that's what I want for you. So if you want to retire early, you want to be financially independent, you don't want to live like a pauper, like a poor person, like a homeless person, then the best thing for you to do is follow the plan that I just laid out. Number 1, try to make as much money from your job as you can. Number 2, you got to have options as your side hustle. You got to be selling options. Okay, you got to be trading options, selling them, not buying them. Number 3, save as much money as you can. You know, if you don't need to go to that 5-star restaurant, don't. If you don't need to go to the movies, get Netflix. It's fine. You'll watch the same movies later on. Once in a while you want to splurge, do it. Enjoy your life. Don't live like a pauper, but don't live above your means either. Save as much as money as you can. Okay? And spend your time that you have, your free time, your side hustle time, learning how to trade, selling options, practicing, getting better, asking questions, getting education. Find other traders that you can talk to and ask questions from, learn from, model that what works. Because I've done it. Others have done it. We have hundreds of people in our community that have done it and are doing it right now. We've interviewed people on the podcast that are doing it right now.
Okay. And lastly, we have episode 30. What should my first trade be? So this is for you newer folks. If you haven't tried options yet, you're still thinking, hey, what do I do? What do I do? I'm afraid to get in. I don't want to lose money. I don't understand all this stuff yet. What should your first trade be? And that is the answer that I expose in this next clip. So take a listen.
Really, what I would say is, okay, if you have an account already and you own maybe 100 shares of stock, okay, hopefully it's maybe an ETF, maybe it's a big company like Coca-Cola or Disney or something like that, I would go ahead and just place a covered call. That would be my first trade. That would be my advice. So go in, take a look at it, and say, you know what? Let's say Disney is trading at $100. In the next 30 days, I don't think it's going to get to 110. That'll be a 10% gain. It's not going to get to 110. I want to go ahead and sell the 110 call. And maybe I only get $20 for it. That's okay. This is not about how much money you can make. It's about just getting your toe wet, just doing it, getting, popping your cherry, kind of, so to speak. And so that's what my advice would be for that. Your first trade, if you have some stock, never done this before, covered call, it's easy to get approved for. Almost nobody gets rejected when you apply to add options trading to your account if you just say, hey, I just want to do covered calls, because that's the one that the brokers, for some reason, they really think that's the safest one, even though it has as much risk as a naked put on the risk graph. That's another story. We can get into that later, but so if you have some shares and you want to just do it and you just want to get a taste of it, what option selling is all about, go ahead and sell one call above where your stock is trading at right now. We don't want to lose your stock. We don't want anything to happen with your stock. We want this option to expire, and we want to take that money that we get, right? So let's say we sell, 10% above the price. So if your stock is trading at 100, we sell 10% above that. So at 110, we sell that 110 call option. Do it for like about a month, maybe a month to 45 days away. And whatever you get, maybe you get $15, maybe you get $30, $40, whatever you get, that money goes into your account. That's yours. No matter what happens, that money is yours. You never have to give it back. And then for the rest of the time until that option expires, I just want you to watch it. I just want you to look at it and be like, okay, I sold it at, and I got $30 for it. Let's say, for example, you got 30 cents for it, which is $30 credit to you. So you got $30, and every day that option goes down in value, little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit. It's going to go down in value until hopefully it'll expire worthless. And you'll still have your stock. You'll still have any dividends that you've gotten from the stock, but you've also gotten that $30 that you got from the call option. So that will give you a nice taste of what option selling is all about. It's very basic. It's the simplest trade you can do. And if you own the stock, you can do that. Now, if you do not own stock already, or if you have a small account, then covered calls might not be the best for you. Now, there's something called like the poor man's covered call, but that's a little bit more complicated. We're not going to get into that right now. What I would say, if you don't have any stock and you still want to do your first option trade, I would say probably you do something that at our company we call the layup spread. Now, the layup spread is a credit spread with some twist to it, the criteria for getting in. And if you want to learn how we do layup spreads, then you can go to simonsaysoptions.com/layup and get the guide. The guide, it's really cheap, and it walks you through exactly how do you pick a trade, how does the trade work, and what are you looking for, okay? So if you've never done it, then pick up the guide. It's really cheap, and it'll go step by step, tell you how to do everything. Now, the reason that we call it the layup spread, is because in basketball, the easiest trade you can make for most people is the layup, right? You're standing really close to the basket. You just jump up, bang the ball, and just throw it into the net. And percentage-wise, that's the most made shot. So the other shot, we were thinking about calling it the dunk spread, because if you go for a slam dunk, that's kind of like easy, right? That's like probably the easiest. That might be the easier than the layup. But for myself and for Simon, who is the one who wrote the guide and who does these, we really have never dunked in our life. And so for us, a dunk is not the easiest trade or not the easiest shot in basketball because we have never done one. We couldn't do one if our lives depended on it. And so for us, it wasn't the dunk that was the easiest. It's the layup that's the easiest. So we call it the layup spread because it's probably the easiest trade you can make. And so that's why we call it that. It's a spread, meaning it has two options. You sell one and then you buy another one. But really, it's simple. It's something simple. And basically what you do is you find a stock that you like. You want it to be, for your first trade, you want to find something that's really big, like an ETF. You could take a look at SPY would be a good one. That's the S&P 500 ETF. That's a good one. Or find like a large company, maybe Apple, Facebook, Google, any one of these large tech companies, or just those would be good to work with. And you see the chart. Now, you don't want to find a chart that's just moving up and down all over the place. You want to find a stock that's moving in one direction smoothly. So relatively, if it's going up, you wanted to go on your screen. If you look at the chart, you wanted to go from the lower left to the top right. And you wanted to go up slowly, 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 not have really, really big moves, but small moves and just generally going up, up, up. Or if you want one going down, you do the other way. But you don't want it to have big jumps and big movements. You want it to be relatively have a decent slope going up, but smooth. We don't want it to look like big hills and have gaps in the middle and whatnot. So you go through some charts, find one that you like, and then what you do is you want to sell away from the direction. So if it's going up, then we want to sell some puts. So you take a look at the chart and you say, okay, in the next month or so, what are I don't think it's going to drop more than, 15% in price. And I can't go through all the mechanics of it here. If you want to know in detail, then you have to get the guide. But, the answer to the question is what I'm trying to get to here. But, so basically how it works is if the stock is going up, we think it's going to keep going up. We don't think it's going to drop. But if it drops a little bit, it's okay. We're going to pick a point where we do not think the stock is going to go. So if it's trading at $100 and it's just been going up, 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 we don't think it's going to go all the way down to 90 or 90 or 85 or even 80. So we pick a number or we pick a price where we do not think the stock is going to go in our time frame, maybe 30 days or 60 days, however long we want to sell the option for. And then that's the option that we sell. That is the put option that we sell. And then we buy another put option right below it, the next put option there. And you can get into this trade for as little as $100. The average trade is probably going to be around $500. Sometimes you do that. That's the spread. You have the probabilities in your favor, probably 80 to 90% probability of that working out. And you can make, 5%, 8%, 10, 12% in that short time frame of a month or so. So I think it's a very good strategy because it's less risk. It's very calm. Basically, you're just selling some options, have the odds in your favor. The trend is also in your favor, which is a good thing. And then you just sit back and you just watch it and you just let it expire. In this particular strategy, though, you have to know when you're going to get out. So you could say, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to adjust it. I'm not going to change it. And so if I'm risking $100, I have an opportunity to make $10, but I'm going to risk $100. So if I lose it, I lose it. So, in this case, if you're putting up $100 as your margin, you're going to lose $100 if you don't do anything and the trade totally goes against you, 100% against you if it goes. If it doesn't, the other option you have is that you can get out if you're down a little bit, or if you can learn to adjust, you can do that. There are different ways to play the trade. In the beginning, if this is your first ever trade, I would probably put up $100 and just not do anything. I would just watch it. That's it. See how it goes. See how it feels. If you lose the $100, see how that feels. That's a learning experience right then and there. It's like, oh man, I just sat here and I didn't do anything. I lost $100. This is horrible. I don't like this. I'm not going to do this anymore. But if you understand how it works, most of the time it's going to be profitable. So if it's something that you enjoy doing, then you can look into it further. Because for some people, selling options might just be too boring. Putting on a trade and just waiting for it for a month, man, that sucks. I don't want to do that. I want to be a gunslinger, and I'm going to be I'm a poker player. I want to just bet, and hopefully I'll hit the lottery. If that's you, then option selling is not for you, and this is not the podcast for you anyway. But if this is your first trade, like I said, if you have 100 shares, covered call would be good. If you don't have 100 shares, the layup spread is something that is right up your alley. Now, of course, you could do other things. You could be selling naked puts. You could be doing condors, butterflies. Straddles is something that is pretty popular. Strangles and straddles are good for people. But I think if this is your first ever trade, you're just looking to get in, you're just looking to get your toe wet, get an experience of what it's really like, covered calls or layup spreads. And again, covered calls are really simple. You can get more information on our website. And credit spreads are, the layup spread is a credit spread with a little bit of a twist. And that the twist is how Simon actually chooses the trades that he does. Because you can go into any stock and say, okay, I'm going to do a credit spread on this trade, on this stock. But to really get maximum gain out of it, to make sure you win on most of your trades, you're going to have to do a little bit of digging. You're going to have to look at the chart. You're going to have to look at what stocks should you be trading and what stocks you should not be trading. And so Simon actually goes through that in the guide, in the layup guide. And you can pick that up if you want to. It just puts more odds in your favor, so to speak. Those are the two things I would recommend. Again, if you wanted to learn about covered calls, you can go to optiongenius.com/covered calls. We'll put the link in the show notes. And then if you want to learn about the layup guide, you can pick it up at simonsaysoptions.com/layup guide. All right. If you have any questions, please let me know. And remember, trade with the odds in your favor.
All right, folks, that is all. Those are the 8 clips. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you took something from them. There are many people that tell me that they have gone back and listened to every single episode of the podcast from the beginning, and they've done it multiple times. And I would advise you, if you are serious about trading options, that you do the same thing. Not because I want you to just listen to my voice. That could probably get annoying, and my corny jokes are not, I'm never going to be a stand-up comedian or make much money at my jokes. But I think that repetition is the mother of skill. And just hearing the same thing over and over and over again will really make an impact on you. It's kind of like reading a book. You read a book for the first time and you get stuff out of it. You take notes and you're like, okay, this is awesome. I'm gonna go implement this, and maybe you take something out of it and you go do it and you use what you learned in the book. Maybe a year later or 6 months later, you go back and you read the same book and you get a whole new perspective. You take out a whole new thing from that book that you didn't notice the first time. Why? Because you're a different person. You now have different experiences. You have different knowledge. Maybe you're at a different place in your life. And the book speaks to you in a different way. Knowledge is like that. And so I've put in a lot of time and effort to come up with all these different podcast episodes. And I hope they work. I hope they're good for you. I hope they make you want to move forward and grow and take a chance and go forward and experience what options trading has to offer and how that can make you a better investor and have overall a better quality of life. Because if you don't trade options, that's fine with me. I don't care. I want you to have a better life. And so this is my way of giving back. This is my way of helping you get that better life. And so I do think that if you have the time and the inclination, go back and listen to all the different episodes, or all the episodes, or just the ones that really speak to you. Find the ones with the titles that you really like or whatever you need. Some episodes are for brand new traders. Some of them are for people who are more experienced. Some of them there's one episode that I did want to include in here, which was an episode I did about recovering from losses. It was a very emotional episode because uh, I did it as soon as I had a really big loss, and it was tough. But I recorded that episode in a way that would help anybody because I was feeling it right then and there. And so I knew exactly what to say and what you guys go through, or when anybody goes through when they have a loss, a big loss. And that might be something that you listen to when you actually have a loss. It might not make a lot of sense to you when you're just starting out, but after you have a big loss, that might be one to go back to. And there are several other ones that talk about different things. So use the education that's out there, and the bottom line is take action. That's it. So this was episode number 100. I hope that you'll stay with me. I hope we'll have another 100 episodes. And really, what I would like is to bring on more of our traders to come on and do interviews. I think that would be really beneficial. I think that would be really interesting, exciting. So if you have an interest in coming on to the podcast as a guest, that would be really wonderful. Reach out to us. Let us know what your story is, and we'll see if we can make it work. Take care.
Are you ready to get started with passive trading and be a consistent and confident and profitable trader, generating cash flow consistently from the stock market? Well, I have some great news for you. For a limited time, we are offering my new book, Passive Trading, for free. All you got to do is go to passivetrading.com/free book, and we will send you the book in the mail for free as long as you cover the postage and handling. So if you can cover that, we'll send you the book for free. We've already printed it. We got it for you. We're going to send it out to you. It's free. All you got to do is just go to passivetrading.com/free book and learn the basics of passive trading. Get the behind the scenes, get some examples, learn the strategies, and put this stuff to work in your life right now. Remember, go to passivetrading.com/free book and get yours now while this offer is still available.